What were the challenges that you faced when you became the Secretary of the Army?
Well, the Army has been long at war. The Army's been at war since fall of 2001. And since that time, we've had soldiers go off to war. We've had families under the stresses of supporting their soldier loved ones, whether it's husband, wife, son, or daughter. And when you look back over the last 8 years, that's I think what people will remember most about the Army is how our Army stepped up and responded to the challenge of our nation at war. And our soldiers have responded with great distinction, as have the families. But in addition to that, this has been an extraordinarily busy time for the Army. We have the biggest BRAC in history. We've got soldiers moving all over the world. We've got global rebasing, troops coming home from Europe and troops coming home from Korea. We've got the biggest organizational change underway, change from a division to a brigade structure, and military construction going on throughout the Army system. So this has been an extremely busy, nearly decade for the United States Army, and our soldiers have served with great distinction, as have our Army civilians, and our families have hung in there and stood alongside of them. I think it's an era that when people look back on this, again, nearly a decade in the life of the Army, they'll see it as one of the eras that the Army distinguished itself in a way that will always be recognized and remembered.
And what was a major role you played with this time that you've spent with the Army?
Well, I'm just one of many people working with the Army to support all these various initiatives. The Army's a great big organization, and it's a very big and strongly supportive team, everybody helping each other. Over the last few years, we've worked in many different areas, but we've seen great progress in developing an approach to taking care of soldiers in outpatient care. The folks out at Walter Reed initiated a new approach to outpatient care, and we've seen that spread across the Army with our warrior transition units. We have seen families step up and develop new ways to meet the needs of families with soldiers deployed. We have put more resources into family support programs over the last several years and trying to respond to the families' needs during this era of heavy deployments. It's been a period of dynamic change in the life of the Army, and the soldiers, the Army civilians, the Army families have stepped up and done a great job.
During this year of the NCO, how would you describe the impact of the emphasis placed on NCOs in the Army today?
Well, the year of the NCO, we wanted to accomplish three things. One, we wanted to recognize the contributions of the non-commissioned officers in our Army. And that's been an effort to tell the story of the NCOs to the public and make sure that the public understands the contribution that our non-commissioned officers make. Wanted to inform, particularly the Congress and other stakeholders that are supporters that pay the bills of the Army. And then the third was to increase the professional development, the resources that are dedicated to the professional development of our non-commissioned officers. And we're about halfway through the year. I hope that the non-commissioned officers understand how much we appreciate what they do. They're truly the envy of the world. They're the backbone of our Army and really recognized as such. Most militaries around the world don't have the same level of professionalism and responsibility in their non-commissioned officers corps. Most other countries go to school in our model, but our non-commissioned officers have been the glue that have held our Army together during this critically important time in our nation's history and extremely difficult time in our Army's history. So we want to recognize our non-commissioned officers. We want to inform all the observers inside and out of the great job that our non-commissioned officers do, and then invest in the professional development so that they can continue to meet the challenges that our Army is going to ask of them.